Loneliness often isn't about lacking people. It's about lacking connection to yourself. And when you don't feel connected to your voice, you go along. You adapt. You repeat familiar routines. If you've ever felt lonely, even though you're surrounded by people, family, friends, co-workers, this video is for you. Today I'm going to talk about why so many women 40s and on up feel disconnected, even when life looks full from the outside. Why this loneliness keeps repeating year after year and just doesn't quite seem to end. And what actually keeps you from self-doubt and uncertainty to confidence and focus and clarity. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken and you're not alone, even if it feels that way right now. Stay with me because what you will hear today might explain something you haven't had words for yet. Loneliness doesn't always look like being alone. Sometimes it looks like being the one everyone relies on, having conversations that stay on the surface, feeling unseen even in familiar rooms. You show up, you listen, you care. And yet, there's a quiet feeling that something is missing. I want to say this honestly and gently. I've experienced this myself. And being busy, being surrounded, being needed, and still feeling like no one really knows you anymore or at all. That kind of loneliness is confusing because it makes you wonder, why do I feel this way when I shouldn't? Here's what I see again and again with women in this stage of life. You spent years being responsible, being reliable, being supportive, being adaptable. You've shaped yourself around roles, parents, partners, professions, being a caretaker. And slowly, without meaning to, you stop expressing what you need, what you want, what matters to you, what matters to you now. So even when you're with people, you're not fully there. Not because you don't care, but because your voice has been on pause. And when you don't feel connected to your voice, you go along. You adapt, you repeat familiar routines. Another year looks like the last one. The same conversations, the same expectations. And inside, there's that quiet thought. There has to be more than this. But without clarity or a strategy, that thought just circles. It's just on a loop. It doesn't lead anywhere. That's not a failure. That's a missing framework. Here's the shift that matters. Loneliness eases when a woman begins to use her voice, define her direction, and trust her choices. Not all at once, not perfectly, but intentionally. Connection doesn't come from more people. It comes from being honest about who you are now. When you start saying, this matters to me, I don't want this anymore, I'm ready for something different, the right connections will find you. Sometimes slowly, sometimes unexpectedly. And just as importantly, you start feeling connected to yourself again. Here's something gentle you can try. ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself, what part of me hasn't had a voice lately? Not to judge it, not to fix it, just to notice. Loneliness often softens when we stop abandoning ourselves. You don't need to blow up your life. You need clarity, direction, and permission to be honest, first with yourself. If this resonated, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not failing. And you're not meant to keep living disconnected from who you are becoming. This is the work I do as a life strategy coach, helping women 40s plus move from uncertainty to confidence, from repetition to clarity, from quiet loneliness to purposeful connection. If you want support in finding your voice, defining your direction, and trusting your choices, subscribe to Design Your Life with Lee. You don't need more noise. You need alignment. And that's where everything starts.